take a look at it and see whether or not that comports with what they have at the license permit unit office. But this is my first time seeing this date.
I appreciate that. Is that fine? Okay, thank you.
If
Mr.
you
Card,
take your ID to make a copy of it.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, thank you. Mr. Cardinale.
Hi, everybody. Matthew Cardinale, news editor of Atlanta Progressive News. It's actually been a hot minute since I've been at this committee. And as you know, the last time I was here, I spoke on paper which was held 10-R-0132 under G on page 5, item number 1. And of course, this is Michael Bond's resolution asking for an apology as it related to the Eagle raid. If you recall, one of the other things that I asked at that time was for the council to ask that the charges be dropped. Well, let's get an update where we are. The charges were dropped. I mean, the council didn't ask for the charges to be dropped, but they were. So that's kind of a moot point. We're still waiting for the apology, and maybe we'll get it in 2 years after the lawsuit is done. But I would say an apology 2 years later that you have to be forced to make isn't really worth very much. So where does that leave us? I think that we need to start talking about policy and practice changes in terms of how the City of Atlanta Police Department and the Red Dog Unit conducts its raids going forward. The Citizen Review Board, as you may know, voted and stated that what happened was actually false arrest, and that what happened on that night was false arrest. That's very troubling, and this is really consistent with the very simple argument that Dan Grossman and many of us in the community have been making all along, which is that the Constitution prohibits you from going in, raiding an establishment, telling everybody to get on the ground, searching everybody, basically arresting everybody without a specific probable cause. That if there's a reason to believe that a certain couple people were doing something illegal, that those people could be detained, but not everything. And there have been different town hall meetings, GLBT, APD dialogue meetings, and whatever that have been held. And what the APD basically has said is, we don't understand why you're so upset about this. This is how we do all our raids. This is our normal practice. We have to go in hard, because if you don't go in hard, then you're at risk. But I think the Constitution is clear. I think the Citizen Review Board has been clear. So I'm looking to this committee to take some leadership. And I know that, Ms. Adrian, that you were kind of expressed a little frustration that we weren't able to move on this paper. I think there's still some work to be done. And for everybody here, I'm hoping that you'll look into what I'm suggesting. The argument that was made in opposition to this paper was that an apology would complicate the lawsuit. But I don't think policy and practice change would complicate the lawsuit. In fact, it would be a good thing. It would mean that the city wouldn't be continuing to exposing itself to more problems and more litigation. In fact, you can change policy and practice just by saying, this is what we want to do. We're not making any comment about whether what happened was right or wrong, but this is what we want to do going forward. So I'm hoping that someone in this committee will take a close look at the ruling that was made by the Citizen Review Board and take a look at how the departments can go forward to make sure that there are no constitutional right violations. So with that being said, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Thank you.
Dealing specifically with the work of the judiciary, don't you think it's far more appropriate when wrongdoing is alleged by our public safety officers that we allow the judiciary to do its job rather than you face some kangaroo court of council members to offer guilt or innocence, let evidence take its course, let the judiciary do their job? Isn't that a more appropriate course of action?
I think so, but that's not really what I'm saying. I'm not saying to say who was guilty or who was innocent. I'm saying that going forward in terms of how the department conducts its raids, to look at practice, policy, and practice changes. And you don't have to, that doesn't have to be a commentary on whether anything was right or wrong in what has already happened. But going forward, I think that this is something that that you all should look at. I mean, you all created the CRB for a reason. I know it's important to you, and I think that their ruling is quite serious. And so, to answer your question, I think you are right. But what I'm suggesting has to do with going forward, not making any judicial judgment on what already happened.
Ms. Adrian?
Well, I can't remember where I read it, but it seems to me, if there's someone from the police department that could comment, it seems to me that you've started some procedures for training and so on. Can you bring all of us up to date on where you are with regard to some of the recommendations that have come from our Citizens Review Board?
Thank you.
Peter Andreessen, Assistant Chief. Yes, as far as this one particularly goes, after Neal Street, we redid all our practices and SOPs with raids and retrained the narcotics officers. This was not specifically Red Dog. This was initially a permit unit issue. And we're waiting for the outcome of the internal package and the recommendations along with that, and from that we'll take the training as well as the lawsuit.
When can you describe a timeline that we can look forward to?
It'll all go with the OPS package. We're working with the mayor's office to complete that. As soon as we get that done, we'll make the recommendations to the administration and go forward with everything. And then the lawsuit, I don't know where that is. But obviously, we take training very seriously, and we had redone all of our information on raids and warrants previous to this.
So in the likelihood of raids being ordered without probable cause, it seemed in a post-Katherine Johnson era that the likelihood, hopefully the likelihood of that happening is a lot less with the checks and balances that you all have put in place before those types of warrants are issued. And so, and without making an assumption, I will, Mr. Cardinale, follow your advice and read more thoroughly the findings of the Citizen Review Board. And I would hope, I was encouraged to at least see the hands-on approach that APD did take most recently, and at least the dialogue with the gay, lesbian, and transgender community. And I would hope that that would be a start, and that we would continue the dialogue. I am absolutely confident that this committee is going to support open lines of communication, and I'm sure the department will as well. If there's some indication that that's not happening, please let us know. Because I think the policy change, when the no-knock warrant was issued in Katherine Johnson's case, it was really the people that demanded some better, stronger, more thorough evaluation as to that incident and what happened and what went wrong. And so it could be through the work that the Citizen Review Board has done and or APD that we could get to a point of understanding if there was wrongdoing done committed by our law enforcement officers, exactly what that is and if it warrants a policy change. So our minds are wide open to the Constitution and the rights of all citizens. So, Chief Andreessen, thank you for your response, and Mr. Cardinale, thank you for continuing to be vigilant and making sure that we do what we're supposed to do. Any other comments or questions by the public or any other member of the committee? That said, I'll entertain a motion to do what we do best. Adjourn. Move to adjourn. Non-debatable. Meeting is adjourned.